Hello. If you're waiting for the good news, there isn't really any. The bad news is this week did happen. I guess the good news is it's over, but there's another one coming. If you're anything like me, you're sitting there wondering, is this really happening? When I Google news, the top 5 stories are the leader of the free world, gradually getting less free, doing illegal things, and other foreign leaders like my Prime Minister just standing by and going, well, America will be America. Well, no. The only little spark of light is the level of protest, the level of anger and refusal to just stand by and let this go that has been shown by the level of protest, the people at JFK, the people at all the airports, the lawyers giving up their time, little people just, posting this is not okay on their Facebook, on their Twitter, whatever it is. It's not, okay, it's happening, but it's not happening without being noticed. As much as the various Nazi comparisons do certainly apply, and the division is certainly happening. The fact of the matter is that in the world as it stands, we won't stand for it. So we don't know how far it will go, but we won't, God forbid, we won't let it go that far. On top of that, I've had a shit week. And it's been one of those shit weeks that's been shit for no good reason. I've had some lovely times, things went quite well. I didn't get fired, I didn't get, run over, nothing bad happened, and yet I found myself on Thursday, late Thursday evening, early Friday, just completely falling into a pit of rage and misery and frustration that wasn't tied to anything. And it's almost harder because if there's a cause, you can address it and move on. But when there's not, it's somehow you feel helpless in addition to it. And especially up against all the crap that's happening in the world. It's like, oh, these people aren't being allowed to be reunited with their families, and I am in a bad mood because I don't even know, but I want to punch things. And that's not actually a helpful headspace to get into. I've secluded myself for the last 2-3 days in what I call my hovel of shame, which is just my house. But cut myself off from the internet and, not texted people because I know that I am a shit when I am in a horrible mood and I can be really unpleasant to be around. So it is much better for me to work through it on my own. But at the same time, the downside of that is that I am not necessarily taking good care of myself. And so this week, my little resolutions are very, very, very simple. Trying to take into account both my personal issues and the issues that the world is facing in a way that is manageable and doesn't set them against each other. Because to be honest, yes, my life isn't a disaster, but not allowing myself to feel how I feel just because it could be worse isn't helpful. So this is my resolution for the next week. Every day I'm going to do something to love myself and I'm going to do something to help somebody else. And I don't know what those things will be, but it means I have to put myself out there and it means I have to look after myself. And I guess this is not going to be a long video because, quite frankly, I don't have it in me. But my advice to you, not that you come here for advice if you're here at all, is just that in the face of such monumental stupidity, in the face of such ridiculous hatred, you have to try and find some way to continue, and giving yourself a hard time is not going to make anything better. So love yourself, look after those around you, look after your family, look after your loved ones, be kind to yourself, and when the opportunity arises, be kind to people you don't know, look after people you come into contact with. Just do something small when you can to make a difference, because most of us aren't in a position to, go marching over to the White House and beat him round the head with his own desk until he admits he's a stupid fucking cock. But what we can do is deal with the everyday, the small things that people are having to deal with. And if all of us just make a small amount of effort when we're called upon, then maybe that will have some impact, and maybe we'll feel better too. Anyway, this wasn't a particularly fun video. Normally I try and keep some humour in it, but honestly, it's just been one of those weeks. So with that, we close out week 4, the end of January, and yes, hopefully next week the world will be a brighter place, and this will be a brighter face, and God, I'm speaking in rhyme. Ooh.